Hello, great people. The law firm of Afe Babalola have submitted a petition to the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee seeking the removal of lawyer and human rights activist Dele Farotimi from the role of Nigerian legal practitioners. You will recall that Dele Farotimi has been in detention based on the defamation accusation by Afe Babalola. Afe Babalola accused Dele Farotimi of defaming him in his book Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. Since then, the Magistrate High Court in Ekiti has detained Dele Farotimi. Now, Afe Babalola has taken a step ahead to submit a petition that Dele Farotimi be delisted from the list of registered lawyers in Nigeria. Let's analyze the issues surrounding this step by Afe Babalola. First, you see, this step by Afe Babalola coming at a time when notable Nigerians have intervened, the likes of Peter Obi, going all the way from Lagos to Ekiti State to plead with Afe Babalola. You taking a further step at this point in time, it shows that you don't count the words of these people as anything. And let us look at it that if everything had gone right, the seat that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sitting on today, Peter Obi could have been sitting on that seat. Atiku Abubakar could have been sitting on that particular seat. So if these kind of people have appealed to you and you still decide to take a step that will strip the man of his means of livelihood, then it means that you have no respect or regard for these notable Nigerians. Now, this thing is like killing an ant with a caterpillar, because you feel that somebody has defamed you. You have taken legal steps against the person, but you are still seeking to deregister the person as a lawyer. Dele Farotimi has been a lawyer all his life, though Dele Farotimi claimed that he is no longer a practicing lawyer because he cannot be a practicing lawyer and he will be making the accusation that he's making against senior lawyers and both serving and retired justices. So he's no longer a practicing lawyer. But at the same time, what if Dele Farotimi decide to change his mind tomorrow? One thing about human beings that we social scientists have discovered is that the unpredictability nature of man, in the sense that you can go and sleep and say tomorrow morning you want to eat rice. They may have prepared rice for you, and all of a sudden you wake up tomorrow morning and say, I feel like taking pap. Give me pap. Go and make pap for me. That's human beings for you. So what if Dele Farotimi decide to be practicing again tomorrow as a lawyer? And you know that in law, there's no age limit to practicing. You can decide to appear before a judge to represent a client if you still have the energy. I stand to be corrected by lawyers, but that's the way that I see it. Afe Babalola, if you still have the energy, you can still appear before a judge to defend a client. So you now seeking to deregister him as a lawyer, is you trying to take oxygen from his nostrils, because a man's occupation, a man's means of livelihood, something that he will use to feed his family, daughters, sons, wife, is like an oxygen in nostrils. When you take a man's means of livelihood, it's like you have taken away oxygen from his nostrils. So I believe that Afe Babalola is going too far in this case. And one thing we need to look at is that Afe Babalola is acting as if he is the institution. No, he is not the legal institution. No, Afe Babalola is an individual that is opportune to be a stakeholder in the institution of the Nigerian legal system. In the sense that you cannot now turn yourself to be the institution. When human beings commit what you deem as a crime or an offense towards you, there are constitutional means for you to seek redress, which is you go to the court. When you go to the court, if the court finds the person guilty, the court will find Dele Farotimi, or the court will sentence him. If the court finds him or sentence him, that judgment alone has nullified the assertions in Dele Farotimi's book, because his assertions has been tested in a court of competent jurisdiction and the court has found him guilty. That is enough. That is vindication for you. That means that you are no longer guilty, that you no longer do the things that Dele Farotimi alleged. But if you are now seeking to ban Dele Farotimi as a lawyer. That means that you have turned yourself to the institution. No, you are not the institution. And if you look at it, Dele Farotimi did not cast aspersion on the whole Nigerian judiciary, because I have listened to many of his tape. He claimed Dele Farotimi mentioned specific names. He mentioned specific names. He didn't bring the entire judiciary in Nigeria to disrepute. So if Dele Farotimi mentioned names in his book, he mentioned Afe Babalola, he mentioned some judges, he was being explicit. Maybe Dele Farotimi himself is a wise man. That was why he was explicit in his book. So if you want to say that he brought Nigerian judiciary to disrepute, as being alleged in that petition, that means that you have turned yourself to the institution. No, you are not the institution. Dele Farotimi accused people that happen to be lawyers and judges who are fellow stakeholders. As a lawyer himself, are fellow stakeholders in the temple of justice. So you cannot now say because he has accused you, you will now want to deregister him. No. In the course of your profession, is it that you have not done any thing that you feel that some other lawyers, senior lawyer, while you are a junior lawyer, are displeased about? Why didn't they seek to deregister you? If you deregister Dele Farotimi, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, some senior lawyers will have become a monster that they can seek to deregister a junior lawyer over any flimsy excuse. So for me, it is not right. It is a step too far. Another thing we need to look at is, let us look at the age difference between Afe Babalola and Dele Farotimi. Afe Babalola is reported to be 95 years. Dele Farotimi is over 50 years. I don't know a specific age, but let's find a middle ground. Let's say maybe 55. So 55 minus 95, that is 40 years. So if you look at it, Afe Babalola is still an active man. He still has his office. He still resumed to his office in Afe Babalola University. He's still working by himself. He's not using wheelchair. So for his age, he is still active. And during the time of ABUAD, he was hired by the federal government to defend the people that allegedly stole Nigeria's oil and sold it to China, as accused by Yabagi Soni. So if you look at it, 40 years difference. That means that Dele Farotimi, if he grows old as Afe Babalola, he still has 40 years of active life. So if you deregister him now as a lawyer, that means that you have you are seeking to render his next active life of 40 years. If God tarries in his coming and he enjoys the grace of God to live up to 95 years that you are, that means that you are seeking to make his life useless and inactive for the next 40 years. Over what? Over defamation. Is that not too far? Considering the fact that there's no age limit to legal practice. If Afe Babalola is strong, he can still decide to represent a client in court. So for me, I think that this is something that is way too far. And I think Afe Babalola should please be very careful of his place in history. For instance, if a mechanic does something wrong to you, maybe you give your car to a mechanic and the mechanic steals your car, is that enough for the association of mechanic to say that that mechanic will cease to be a mechanic? No. You will try that mechanic to court. You will charge the mechanic to court, as Afe Babalola has charged Dele Farotimi to court, and the Nigerian police as well. Judgment will come. That mechanic can be given a fine or sentence based on the discretion of the court. So since you have sued Dele Farotimi to court, for heaven's sake, why do you now want to deregister him as a lawyer? For instance, if I do something now that you feel displeased with as a professor, and you are now seeking to nullify my PhD, that doesn't happen. No. It doesn't happen anywhere. I have the PhD, I have it for life. You are a professor, you have it for life. You can only deregister people when they have committed a serious offense. Serious, like earth-shaking offense. For instance, all degrees are an award. whether it is BSc, whether it is master, whether it is PhD. That's why if you check your certificate, you see awarded. So if you are awarded, it can also be revoked. But you must have committed sin against the earth, not against a person. That even if you commit murder, it's against an individual. The court will do justice. That is not enough for a university to revoke your degree, except if you have committed something against the earth, the whole earth. Even if you are the one that that gave birth to COVID-19, that it is your action that led to the explosion of COVID-19 in the world that killed millions of people. The university might not even find it as a solid ground to revoke your degree, especially if it is not intentional. And nobody has investigated all the accusations that Dele Farotimi made in his book. So I think Afe Babalola should please be cautious of his place in history. It is very important. He is closer to God's clarion call than Dele Farotimi, and he should be bothered about what people will say when he is gone. It's good that he is seeking justice in court if he feels aggrieved. But at the end of the day, he shouldn't act overboard, because when he's gone, what will people say? He should be careful of his place in history. And I hope that he would. I hope that Afe Babalola's wish will not be granted, because if it's granted, it is a dangerous precedent, and other profession will follow it. If you do anything, they'll just ban you from that profession. They are taking the place of the court, and that, I think, is very, very wrong. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode of Politing with Dr. Omoshola Deji. Dr. Deji is a political scientist with a PhD in political science, and this is where we relax to analyze politics and happenings in the polity. Do well to subscribe, turn on your notification button, catch up with my past videos, and of course, I have great, interesting videos coming your way. Till I see you again, always know that I love you all sincerely.